Lorian Fenton. Come listen in as she shares her amazing stories from the past to present, along with all of her guest secrets to the future. That's the Fenton Perspective every Monday evening right here from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, only on Revolution Radio. Oh, and you don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Most guys freeze. That's your cerebral cortex looking for an answer it doesn't have.
See? Even your brain knows you're screwed.
Your body's filling with adrenaline right now, whether you know it or not. Your heart's beating fast. It's getting a little harder to breathe. The neurobiological system is telling it to run, but your knees are too weak to move.
Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. 100% listener-supported radio. Reporting to danger. Unafraid. Right here, where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hi, it's Joanna Hart, Joanna Hart Show. And good evening. I'm sorry I'm late coming on. I was stuck in the London traffic and had a meeting just now, which was quite interesting, but not allowed to talk about it. I did promise people who I spoke to that I wouldn't mention it, so it's a bit silly of me to mention it on air, so I won't. I have just got in, and tonight's show is going to be about hexes and curses and how depression can be that someone through your life has put a curse on you or a hex. You don't have to have known any witches. This can just happen. So, right, okay, so I'm going to talk firstly about my own experience of this. So my first experience of this was fairly recently, where I have been waking up in the morning and feeling negative and feeling that, just looking, and, I do have some difficulties such as employment, unemployment, and also financial difficulties because of unemployment, because of the phone hacking issue, and that I can't get work in the investigations industry, which is what I've done since 16, because when I go there, everyone's like, oh, you used to be a journalist and you're going to grass us up for everything dirty and wrong that we do. So I can't get in there. And then when I apply for journalism work, is, oh, you used to be a private investigator. We don't want your phone hacking here. So basically, John Boyle has ruined my life and I haven't got income. But there we are. So I've just, I wake up in the morning, I think about this, and I think about, I should have bought a house, and I didn't buy a house. And, I spent the last couple of years writing a book, and it's not got an agent straight away. So then I beat myself up about that, and I beat myself up over not buying a house. So when I wake up in the morning, it can be a whole sort of beating up issue, where you haven't done this, you haven't done that, look at you now, you're this age and you're in rental, what are you going to do next? And this kind of thing. And, sometimes you can brush it aside. And of course, at night times, this kind of little voice does tend to, especially if you can't sleep, sometimes, you start thinking about things like that and your mind kind of clicks right away. And it's almost as if it decides that you don't deserve to have any sleep. So there's that at night time, and I was getting it in the morning really, really bad. And I had it a certain amount at my old house, and I felt that when I came to live near a river, near water, near countryside, and there was no, well, actually there are neighbours around, and they're not fantastic. So you do have that negative vibe. There are other people, and I don't think where I'm living is that happy. It doesn't seem to me to be a happy village, really. But it doesn't matter because we're moving anyway. Again. So, but I thought once I got here that I would be refreshed, and I wasn't feeling refreshed, and I wasn't feeling as if I'd gotten away from any of the old negative vibes. And I wondered why, and it seemed to me, I don't know whether it was the room, but it seemed to me almost as if there was an energy thing involved, but I didn't think much of it. Until one night when I swapped rooms with my son, and I woke up in the morning, even though I had my same problems, but very positive and very thinking, well, I'm going to solve that this way, solve that the other way, and just really, really positive. And I noticed my son was really in a negative, quite angry mood, and I thought, is it that room? And I thought, it can't be the room. And I thought, is it the bed? And I was feeling so positive and so light and free. But I thought, it's really, really odd, especially noticing my son was really, really in a bad mood, and he's always happy. So I thought, so odd, is it the bed? And I laid down on my bed, and I felt a force field around it. And it was just as I was laying there, I felt almost as if it was a pressing down energy that was around the bed, almost like a binding thing, and I could feel it, and it held a negative charge. So it's kind of like the negative charge can get you most when you're in those worlds, when you're kind of going off into sleep, or you're kind of rebooting, coming across from the ether into the physical. and I noticed that it was there and it was really strong, which made me realize that someone had done something to my bed. I managed to investigate that myself astrally, and I found out who it was, and I did some kind of reversal stuff on them, that it would come back to them, that any energy they were sending me would come back to them. And so that lifted it did lift it. But I noticed then after, it was only, I had a break of like a couple of weeks of feeling fine, when I noticed again a kind of, now and again, this kind of dark energy would descend, and I examined it and let it come through me, and I examined it and did some astral journeying around it, and I journeyed back to my childhood and my conception. And it's quite easy when you actually try and target these things and try and journey, whether it's for someone else or for yourself. And I found that somebody had done a curse on me, and it was my natural mother's mother. And I didn't know much about her. I'd spoke to my so-called natural mother over the telephone. She had had me at 13, and which was quite odd, being a Catholic girl. Presumably she was a little bit of a slapper, out there shagging everything that moved. She pretty much wanted to absolve herself of anything, just saying, oh, well, I slept with a paddy, bricklayers, they were 10 a penny, not a really nice person, a really horrible person. She talked about, I told her what happened to me, my adoption, and she said, oh, I think adoption's a good thing. I mean, what? And then went on to say that actually she had chosen my brother. She had dumped me basically, and they had tracked her down, and then she had to sign me over. And she said that she asked to see the family, and that she met my brother and said, oh, it was a good person to go to. And I replied to her that there wasn't one day when my brother hadn't bullied me and hadn't said that he was going to make my life a living misery. So thanks for that. And I remember thinking that she was quite dark, and that there was dark energy around the whole thing, and that her family her family could have brought me up. They could have looked after me. They chose not to. They chose to dump me. And, even when they were contacted years later, they chose to ignore me. And I believe so. Anyway, that was how the story went. I don't know her particular version of it. She was going to tell me it, and said she had something also to tell me about who my father was, if I would meet her and tell me the real truth of what had gone on, if I would meet her, and I refused to. So actually, I don't really know a lot of what went on back then. But when I journeyed, I saw my natural so-called grandmother, and who had arranged the adoption, and who had got rid of this man who was supposedly my father. In fact, he was. I don't know. He probably wasn't, actually. And as I traveled astrally, I saw that she had cursed me. It's hard to explain how I saw it. You kind of journey, and then you go down a certain timeline, and then you see back, and then you can see what went on. And I saw this entity, and I saw that she had cursed me. And you can actually get a reading download of their thoughts at the time. And then basically her thoughts at the time were that I was born of sin, I was something dirty, and that she never wanted me to make something of myself and come back and say something about their family. So I could never, become powerful and speak out about them. So she cursed me with a block on abundance. And that block on abundance has actually affected me all of my life, because when I have come in contact with money in any way, shape or form, I have always shot myself in the foot. Or a good job, like, passing the news of the world to John Boyle, other things I've done, like I've had books that are worth it, and I've let the agents take the money and not give me anything, and the publishers take the money and not give me anything. So I've always really been bad with money and dealing with money, and never had abundance. And even when I bought a house, I sold it in the recession. And it's just, I was looking back over my life and wondering why that had happened, why that had occurred, and for an intelligent woman, why I was sitting in poverty like I am now. And it just didn't make sense with my mental abilities and with my intelligence that I would be in the position I'm in now. And I felt, having experienced the curse around my bed, experienced what it could do. It's amazingly powerful, and just these people that do it on you, they don't even have to break a sweat. And so it was interesting to journey back and see that I'd had that done to me. I mean, I actually have been researching it, and usually it's women, but there are men that can do it. I mean, they have been witches, perhaps in prior lives, perhaps part of them are witches in the astral, and they're in the 3-dimension. They're not aware of it, or they don't connect with it, but they still have that abilities. They can still encounter somebody. Say you might work with somebody, or you're at school with somebody, one of the teachers or whatever, and you trigger them in a certain way, that you trigger their malice, that they want to spend it on you, then you will get cursed by them. And their 3-dimensional physical selves might not be in contact with that, might not even admit it to themselves, that part of them. So there's nothing really to slip onto unless you deal with a psychic or someone that can journey and has that side, that can find out that yes, it is that person, and how to unhook it. It's really powerful. Some of them are actually really, really powerful beings, and mostly they do host demons. Sometimes they don't, but they do have interaction with demons. Demons gather around them because they are people that inflict things on people, and they can inflict things like poverty curses, like negativity curses, dark attachments, these energy attachments on their victims. And it's like an actual rape. I mean, think about my natural grandmother doing that to me. It's like a rape, and it's more than a rape. It's a rape that actually vibrates down the years. To actually do that to someone's life, that it would literally curse them, that they be crawling on the floor most of their lives, just because you want this person to just, slide away like a poo down the toilet. You don't want them ever coming back. You want to do that shit and flush that baby away, and you don't want that ever coming back to your perfectly acceptable family. And of course I did, and I wrote books about it. So I managed to break out of that, but I think I only managed to break out of that because the original occupant of my body decided to terminate at around age 22 or 23, and I was actually a walk-in. I was a different soul to the one that was born, and so I was birthed around that age. So that gave me the sight and the ability to, because I hadn't had the conditioning of birth and childhood, to actually have sight and to actually wriggle out of that and to slap back at these people. They're disgusting, absolutely. And mostly they're linked with the Catholic Church. There are so many cults of witches, of dark magic around the Catholic Church. Of course, not all of them, but a lot of them do resonate from this really dark satanic church. It is a satanic church hiding out in plain sight. So that is what happened to me. And it was interesting to see that how to dismantle it in the astral. I mean, a lot of people suffer from this depression, and I was reading about Alistair Campbell, who has this type of depression, and he said he just felt like throwing himself off somewhere. That is clear that it's demonic activity. That is clear that it's something that can't be cured by tablets. Obviously, that just stops it. It's like putting a plug in a bottom with diarrhea, or any kind of therapy. Primal therapy is a good therapy for feeling release, to get out old feelings, but not for this black cloud that can descend. This black cloud that descends is not really old feelings per se. It's a kind of spiritual thing. It's an energy thing, and it is floating around, and it's really rife in today's world. But of course, we don't really address it, and there's no real way of going to seek help about it, because it's not really acknowledged. It's all swept under the carpet, swept under the rug by the Catholic Church. I mean, Jesus used magic, but it was changed. It was called miracles. So immediately it's not connected with Jesus changing water into wine and walking on water, levitation. It's not acknowledged as magic. It's just the miracles that somehow happened to him. He didn't have the power. So it makes people not want to get power, not want to actually use magic, which is really just alchemy, just kind of transmuting energy from light to dark, mostly, if you're going to use it in the right way. That we're not really allowed to do this. And because we're not allowed to do this, then we're not really allowed to defend against ourselves when we're attacked. And these witches are just, they're 10 a penny. They really are 10 a penny. And if you think about it, you can spot them in communities. A really telling thing is that they hate children. You know, they can't seem to shake that off, that they do hate kids. My son had it when he was younger in a community where, he was left out of parties, and you could tell the head honcho person who was picking out this woman and that woman who they wanted to put this kind of darkness on, gossiping about them. And, people joke about, oh, go and stir your cauldron then, but literally it is stirring of a cauldron. It is transmuting light energy of a child into dark energy that can hurt them and hurt their parents, and, just kind of slap what should be joyous. You've got a young child at school. It's an amazing thing, taking the child to school. They turn it round. They have a party. They leave out one kid, and it's and they totally deny it to themselves that it is witchcraft. They are getting something that's joyous, and they are turning it round and making it into dark energy that will stab into the child and wound them for many years to come. And they are witches. You can tell it about them. You can tell. Mostly they're very seductive to men. Men very, they're very seduced by women like this. They see it as powerful. It's actually not powerful to do this. I suppose it is powerful in some kind of way. But it's a very, very negative powerful. And if they are with these women, they will find that they will get their energy sucked away, because they're also vampires. They will get their energy sucked away by them, their money sucked away by them. And they won't be happy. They just won't be happy at all, and they won't really know, and really they just become what's known as cocks. And they are cuckolded, and they live miserable, unhappy lives, and they often turn spiteful and bitchy and target people themselves, that their wives can, once they've got them down on the ground, swarm over and to really stick the poison in. So this is going on in our society, and we're not really facing it. We're not feeling it. We're not identifying it, what's happening, and we're not finding cues for what's happening. So when it happened to me, I did research. I did start to practice, and I did start to use a form of white magic, and I did start reading and studying and learn it myself. And of course I've had people on the show like Eric Coetting and a few others like no, I didn't have Taliesin McKnight on the show, but I do have spoken to him, and I do really, really rate his shows. But I've had other people on that practice this kind of thing, and I've spoke to many people who've contacted me and offered to help me, and I'm really grateful to them, and thinking of one or two especially who have been really helpful to me, and so that is helpful. So I'm learning about this kind of thing, and I'd like to help others. I'd like to help others. So if anybody is having this kind of bad luck, and it's an awful actual feeling that when you haven't got your natural synchronicity, and that I've always had synchronicity in my life, and I've always since I've came here, since I was born here, I have had synchronicity, probably because I didn't have the childhood conditioning, being a walk-in, so I didn't have that, and I was very in touch with, say for instance I was moving into a house, or say for instance when I moved to America, I would perhaps book myself into a motel, and I would know when to look in the paper, I would know what advert to go to, I would know to ring them, and I would know that would be the perfect house for me. So I had this lovely synchronicity that I used, and I would use it in my job as an investigator. I used it when I was working for the press. I, would ask myself the questions, and I would kind of meditate, and I would come back with the answer. So I had this kind of magic at my fingertips, and it made me very, very happy. Made me very, very happy to earn money from it, because it made me feel as I was in touch with God, because I was in touch with my magic, and it made me not feel trapped in 3 dimension when it just seems as if the only thing that's here is materialism and housing, and we really have our noses to the grindstone. Food is so expensive, rent is so expensive, and it's very much, we can't really look up from our little cages, and life is unpleasant because we're not seeing life. We're like prisoners, and we're like, we have someone got a hand at the back of our head and is pressing us down on the pavement, where we just got to think money and survival. And it's really, they've lowered our lives to the tiniest little box, and it's horrible. And I remember my friend Colin Wilson writing about it in The Outsider, and saying that when he wanted to kill himself, he was going to drink some poison, and then he realized that it wasn't less life that he wanted, it was more life. And he did write about this feeling of being pressed with your nose pressed against the ground, and he said happiness was peak experience, which is when something popped in your mind, and all of a sudden your whole mind felt connected all over the world, and felt just connected with God, and felt connected to everything beautiful, and it felt free. And I think one of the poets described it as, your mind romping with the mind of God. And indeed, this feeling, I've had it myself, is far more preferable than anything money can buy. I mean, really, anything, the biggest house, the best guitar, or anything, this feeling, because it really is a massive, powerful feeling. You just feel connected to God, and you think, wow, I'm not just a puny human being, I'm a God, I'm with God, my mind is romping along beside God's, and it's an amazing experience. And he called it peak experiences. And of course Proust wrote about it when he ate the madeleines out in the cafe. He took a bite into a cake, and all of a sudden he had that experience. So Wilson pointed out that human beings are happiest when they are having this experience, which is correct. And so these curses by these bastards, these curses, and I'm not swearing there, these witches are absolute cockroaches that swarm over humanity, and over lifetimes and lifetimes they have got stronger, and there is more than them, and the word spreads, and it is the dark feminine that are bringing them in. It is mostly the dark feminine that does cussing this out. It's showed here, it leaks through with things like gossiping. It's rife in communities. The community where I used to live, it was rife. There's the kingpin woman with the big house, and who kind of rules the other woman. She, in the past life, will have been a witch, and she uses this magic across the other women, to gain power, to hurt children in the community. They call it snobbery, and I'm leaving that child out because this, I want my Oscar or my Henry or my Hector or Hugo to play with that child there and not that child. But really, it's an excuse to slap and hurt a child. And, it's been promoted on TV. I watched the Riviera series last night. It's on Sky Atlantic, a series called Riviera. And it was brilliant. I mean, the lead, Julia Stiles, she looked like Kate Moss, and it was set in the south of France, and it was in the world of art. But, she was a witch. And, she was spiteful to children, and she was a very seductive character, very seductive to men. And there was another lead woman in it who was a witch as well. And there was another woman the mother, who was actually just a powerful woman. So you can see the difference is quite, it's subtle, but you can see it. There's a whole world of difference between a woman who is a powerful woman, like the character played by Lena Olin, who's very powerful and a mother, and by the Kate Moss, Julia Stiles character, who was shown at the end, who was a murderer, who stabbed her husband's son from a previous marriage. So it's all really subtle, and basically this type of dark feminine has got a hold on humanity at the moment, but we can fight back by making yourselves aware of magic. Now, I took a long time after this was done to me with thinking about, should I do it? Oh, it's really bad. Oh, you shouldn't. No, pray to Jesus. And of course you can pray to Jesus, and you can ask Jesus to be with you, but there is nothing wrong with transmuting the energy and returning to sender. I don't believe in cursing people myself. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be a witch. It's the lowest of the low. They are very powerless people, incredibly powerless. Imagine cursing for someone you didn't like them, or some guy who didn't like you, or whatever. It's disgusting, really disgusting, and it's not for God. But the transmuting of energy, the transmuting, the defending yourself, is of God. It is. Now, the Catholic Church have twisted this to make out that magic is evil, but it is not. I don't agree with things like Coetting does, like calling on the Abrahamic demons to ask for favors. And now I do not believe in doing that. He does, which is fair enough. But I think that can only lead to bad things. But, however, I can see why people do that. I can see why they do it, and they believe that these creatures aren't anti-humanity. I believe that they dislike humanity, so I would not call on one of those creatures for assistance in any way, shape, or form. I would prefer to transmute energy myself, even though my being a human being and not a fallen angel, I wouldn't be as good at it as a fallen angel. Obviously, it's their realm, it's their thing, isn't it? It's their thing, it's how they move and speak. This is a magic realm. But I don't see what's wrong in studying and getting proficient and adept in the magic of the third dimension. So I've been studying it, and I have been, when I find out who's targeting me, I do reversals on them. I do believe that it is a something that isn't anti-Christ or anti-God. And I did have an experience with the person who had targeted me by the curse on my bed, who I fought again and again in the astral, and who wouldn't lay down, who I kept coming back at, and they kept coming back at me because they had told themselves that I was a bad person. So it's weird how people do this. You can't, I suppose these witches can't say, I'm going to curse that person. Aren't I a witch? Aren't I a really bad, stinking cockroach? No, they have to say, that person over there is bad. Now I'm going to attack them because I'm good. So that's how they do it. So this person was attacking me thinking they were fighting evil. I could see it written all over them. And I just attacked them back again and again. It ended up a fight. And I thought, must I, every time I put my head down and go to sleep, go into a consciousness where I'm fighting some absolute creep who I don't want to have anything to do with, because they have a bee in their bonnet about me. And then I thought, well, yes, this is what it is. It's a war. It's a war between dark against light. And sometimes the dark doesn't know it's dark. It thinks it's light, but actually it is dark. If you're attacking somebody for whatever little reason that you have, you're always in the dark side. It is ridiculous to pick this one and that one. And the truth community, it's called the truth community, and it's quite a joke because it's a so-called truth community. I noticed Miles Johnson, who's quite big in the truth community, he and Kerry, I can't remember her second name, but his sidekick that does a lot of radio shows interviewing people, making up this, that, and the other about me because I didn't turn up his conference. I didn't turn up at his conference because I was feeling really, really sick to do with this binding thing, that this cursing out, and I wanted to go. I had every intention of going. That's why I told him I was going. I was also going to meet Max's mother there, Vanessa, and I was also going to meet another person that I liked at this particular event. So I even bought a dress. I even had my hair done, and I was ready to go. And it was just the day before, and I just felt so bad. I just want to sleep. I felt really, really bad. Now, had I have felt like this and it was just up the road in London, like a car drive away, then I still would have gone. But Miles is so selfish. He has it just up the road from him, where everybody else has to make a massive train journey. Now, I can't drive long distances because I'm scared of motorways and fast A roads. So I would have had to get a train, which is very nice. So I'd looked into it, knew the price of the tickets, blah, 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 knew where I had to go. But it is a big thing to do, to get on a train, to pack your case, to go and stay in the hotel you've booked, to then get a taxi out to the thing. It's a massive thing. You have to have your energy with you. It's not like you can get in a car and go to something in London. Oh, I feel like shit, but I'll do it. You know, it's a massive thing. It's a whole mini holiday, but it's not holiday. And then if you add on top of that you have a teenage son that absolutely doesn't want to go, that says, I'm not going there, it's going to be boring, I'm not going to sit with those people, I hate those people, they're nutbags, I'm not going, why do I have to go? And, you know, they're twice the size of you. I mean, how does that actually work, you know? It's really, really difficult. But instead of being a man, Miles Johnson decided then to do an online hatred campaign about me, which I actually spoke to my lawyer about, saying that I was going to A, murder him, bizarrely, and B, murder James Casbolt. I mean, I mean, it's totally amazing. And I actually write to James Casbolt. I'm actually his pen pal. You know, I can't believe it. And I've told James Casbolt about what he's doing and say, you know, I don't really understand why he's doing it. I don't really understand how he could possibly think it. It's absolutely bizarre. So Miles Johnson went from being a so-called friend, inviting me to his conference, to absolutely hating me, calling me a liar, calling me a murderess, just because I didn't turn up to his conference. And this is this truth movement. I mean, how can it possibly be a truth movement if that's what's going in it? It's actually dangerous for people to come forward and to give their story, because they at any point might be targeted and slagged off in a really horrible, horrible way. So why should they step forward? I would urge them not to step forward, because they're putting themselves in danger. I would say to them to stay back and to listen, and let everyone else, you know, let other people come forward and tell their story. You know, if you're vulnerable and sensitive, stay back, because you probably will be attacked. There are people out there who are waiting for others to come forward and to say who they are and to just attack them just because they are beings of light, you know, and they are dark. And, you know, I think that the dark beings have got a tight control over the so-called truth movement, a tight control over it. And I think it makes it an absolute joke. It really does. And so I wanted to talk about this side of things, this magic, and how it isn't a bad thing, and how it shouldn't be called magic, it should be called something else, and how reversals shouldn't be called spells, they should be called something else. Perhaps I can spearhead that movement to call those things something else, because I have been reading into it, and I mean, at the moment, my kind of people, which is the white race, I suppose, Caucasian, doesn't know whether it's head or on its arse. I mean, other races have a tight link to where they come from, who they are. The Persians, the Indians. I mean, they have their roots in the ground. They have their gods. They have everything. But the white race absolutely doesn't even have a god. I mean, it clings to the Jewish God. It clings to the Roman Catholic Church. It's the Italians. I mean, so what about the white race? Where, the Aryan race, what's it doing? And it's not actually doing anything. And really, in the old days, they followed the Norse way of being, and they were also the Woads. They were connected to Merlin. They practiced paganism. They practiced what was called paganism, but actually it was energy magic. So they were very, very, very in touch with nature and the earth, and the whole thing of transmuting energy and alchemy and defending themselves against witches. They knew full well about witches, and they defended themselves against it in their own communities and in other communities from other places. So that has just been completely trashed, completely wiped out by the Roman Catholic Church, who went here, there, and everywhere, converting people. And it's bizarre. Sometimes I go down to the church where I grew up, Roman Catholic Church. It was a beautiful church, and I like to go in there. Most of the time I can't get in there because it's full of Indians, people from India and Pakistan. And I look at them and I feel sorry for them, because it looks so bizarre that they are in a Catholic church. And I think that's weird. And I look at them and think, why are you here? It's like, it's Roman. And then I think, well, hang on, what about me? Just because I look like, I could pass for an Italian from northern Italy, doesn't mean it's absolutely stupid for me to be there too. Just as stupid as it is for them, It's just not really their God, it's not their thing. It's just Rome, it's Italian. What are they doing there? And, what am I doing? What am I doing there, really? So it made me see that. It was like a slap. But we're all so conditioned into it that we all go along and worship God in our own way. But really, the white race's way of connecting with God and worshipping God has been using magic, has been via energy, has been cleaning off the dark energy and the curses and not succumbing to them. And being connected has been those peak experiences that Colin Wilson taught about. We used to go around and run around barefoot in the barefoot with our feet on the soil. Dancing to God with our hands up towards the sun and saying, thank you, God, and touching the trees and, pressing our naked bodies up to the trees and, feeling the sunlight on our face, holding our hands up to it. And that is the way we connected with God. And do we do that anymore? No, we don't. We go in these Roman churches, stuff those Roman churches. Why are they actually in England anyway? We moan about mosques. Yeah, we've got these Roman churches that shouldn't really be there, and the Protestant religion is just what's that actually? What even is it? It's like nothing. It was a protesting against the Catholics, so that is shit. So actually, there's no way of having this connection except for this thing, except through magic. And even when I knew I was cursed, I still didn't want to do it. Such was my programming, such by the Catholic Church. Oh, it's evil. Because I'm surrounded by friends that, that's evil, that's New Age. No, it's not New Age. The New Age, the New Ages, again, the witches sucked that up and took it on board and prostituted the whole thing. So it's not actually that. That's all about giving your power away to other people. But really, we have the power inside us to do it ourselves, to make sure we don't have curses, to look at our lives and think, well, does that make sense? I mean, I often get my life and I will write a date at the top of the page, then I'll do a long line, and then I'll do various other years, and I'll write beside it what I did in those years, what I achieved, what I was feeling, what I was thinking, who was I. And, you know, I can look down and see, even though there was, for myself, there was achievements such as publishing a book, such as working on Fleet Street, such as this, that, a few things. But there is never any abundance around it. There was always these stone dead things that never flowered, that you can look at, and probably if you're not really looking properly, or you're not looking with the eyes of someone who's awake, you can think, oh, look, you've achieved. And even people around me say, well, you've achieved, you've published a book, you worked in Fleet Street, you're a Sunday Times best-selling author, which I am. I sold 120,000 copies of Searching for Daddy. So, yeah, I can look at that and say, this is an achievement. But nothing of it ever flowered or blossomed. It never fruited. You know, I didn't go on from there to someone and say, well, you know, what other books have you got? Let's look at them. Let's look at you as a writer. I just that was taken off me, and nobody really wanted to see that I had a career as a writer. It was just kind of brushed under the carpet. And I had to fight my way to publish a second book, and it wasn't, I would say it wasn't, well, maybe it was published properly, but perhaps it shouldn't have been published as non-fiction. It probably should have been published as a novel, because it was published as true crime, and it wasn't really about serial killers, it was about me. So, and also I'm not famous, so a book about me wouldn't really sell, so it should have been a girl's story written in a novel form, even though it was true. So it was mispublished, really, and so that didn't sell. And but nobody cared about that. So I wasted 3 years of my life on that, and got very, very bitter, because I put masses of effort getting close to Kenneth Bianchi, a serial killer that's really horrible and is demonically charged, and haunted me and really gave me so much grief and pain, and probably also put a curse on me. People that hold demons, they have full ability to curse you. Bianchi is someone that not only can haunt you, not only can come inside your astral consciousness, he has a powerful demon. He can curse you out. So if you hurt these people, and you inevitably end up insulting them or hurting them in some kind of way, because, you know, they hate people. So, you know, there's no such thing as writing to one of them and sort of, oh, it's okay, I'll be nice to them. Well, you're not ever going to be able to have a relationship with them. You will offend them in some kind of way. No matter how nice you are to them, you'll offend them, and they'll decide they don't like you and you've done something bad to them, and then they will curse you out, and then you'll be dealing with that energy in your life. I actually had Michael Aquino in the astral rummaging through my purse. I caught him rummaging through my purse in the astral, looking for my credit cards to put a poverty curse on them. So these people know that you have to live in the 3 dimension, and they can do this kind of dark magic, and these are people that you know can do it. There's also people that you don't know can do it, and they can really, really affect your life, and really, really affect you. And as I was saying, my life, despite my successes, none of them had blossomed. So it was rather like a bud that doesn't blossom. So really, it's kind of deluding you when you look back at your life and say, well, I was successful there. But you're not successful if something doesn't flower and doesn't lead to something and doesn't bear fruit. And none of my things, even though you could say, well, this is successful, nothing bared fruit. And you can see it in the money. The money wasn't flowing freely through my life. When I did buy a house, I sold soon after, before it doubled in value. So it was things like that that kept me at a poverty level, that kept me at this low level, that I would scratch my head, and I would, of course, my first conclusion was that I was a retard. I thought, I'm a retard, I must be a retard. And of course, having low self-esteem, you surround yourself with friends that do back that up. And yeah, well, you're silly. Silly woman. Women aren't very good with money, and stuff like that. And then you think, well, that's it. I'm a retard. And then, well, I'm a good writer. I'm an artist, but I'm not good with money, and that's why things haven't blossomed, for me. But if you do something and you do something successfully, money should just flow. It shouldn't be. You don't have to be an economist. That is an energy thing that it's green energy. It should just flow through your life, So my calling myself a retard and saying that's why I wasn't good with money was completely delusional. It was wrong. It was a wrong thing, and it was only through this someone. So we should always thank our enemies. Through this person doing this curse on my bed or asleep, that led to this massive awakening, where I found this curse that had been done on me so many years ago by this piece of shit, this walking piece of shit, that when their daughter got pregnant, their first thought was, get this away from me. What a piece of shit. So that witch is currently, these people don't get away with it. If you do curse, a child, we're going to break.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Who are you?
I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you.
Why am I here?
You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision, which has led you inexorably here.
You haven't answered my question.
The Matrix is older than you know. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equation.
Choice. The problem is choice.
Right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Be here Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Private Eye Matrix Revealed with Monique Lasan.
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hi, Christine Joanna Hart back with you, the Christine Joanna Hart Show, and coming to you live from London. Tonight we've got a beautiful sunset that is just totally gorgeous. I'm seeing it out my window. It is fantastic. The sun is still pretty strong, although it's dipped down in the sky. It's pretty strong. The light is golden, and it's just really awesome. It's our first sunny day in the whole of August, which has been full of rain. So yeah, never mind. So back to the subject. We're talking about depression and how it can be from a curse. So I was talking about just using my own life as an example, because I don't have anyone else's life to use an example apart from my own. So yeah, so my life, even though I've had successes, I've never had abundance. And you know, you can see, you can all do it yourselves at home. Get yourself a notepad, write down a certain date. You know, I take mine back to about maybe 1992 and write a date. You know, for me, how long? It was 20 years ago. Write down a date, write a timeline down, and look at your timeline and ask yourself, has energy been flowing freely through that? Has there been abundance? Have you had abundance in your life? And if you haven't had abundance in your life, what haven't you? And you can actually see, if you ask yourself, have you had love? Has love flowed through your life? Now, I've had love from my son. We have a great relationship, masses of love there, masses of it's great, but I haven't had sexual love. It's just, that is a tap that has been turned off and it's run dry. So that hasn't even existed. So look at that. You know, have your relationships gone wrong? Has that energy not been flowing? Mine certainly hasn't through all of my life flowed at all. Has that been abundant? Has it grown into a tree? Has it got flowers? Has it dripped gold? Hasn't? What's wrong? Are you under a curse? Has someone put a sexual spell? Has someone put a love spell on you that you knew someone a long time ago? It might even be you were living in a street, passed in a little old lady's house at the end of the road. She didn't like you and cursed you. It might have been one of the other mothers, a friend of your mother's. My mother, oh God, did she mix with witches? Or I can think of two friends of hers. Oh my God, they were just walking stiff-necked witches, a pair of them. But we're taught not to see women as witches. But you can tell it's like a joke to say, "Oh, what a witch." But actually, usually these women in the astral, they have got those powers, and they just, you can even just see it through their eyes. Sometimes they cast you an eye, and they cast the evil eye, and that can actually be like an arrow of that bad energy, just to bring you down at some point. Now, they might give you the evil eye, and it might not hit you there and then, but later when you're tucking down to bed, you'll remember that, and it will bring you down. It's like an energy bomb, just to, and those doing it, they often do it to children. They know that they are going to bring that child down, that some of them, if they're very powerful, it can reverberate all the way through their lives. So just look down your life, do a timeline, write down different years, and see whether these two things, love and money, whether they have been flowing freely. In my own life, whenever I've encountered money situations, like when I worked for the News of the World, I handed that to John Boyle. John Boyle has a dark magic energy. I mean, he is really, really rich. And if you notice people that, you look at them and you think, well, they're not people that you would feel are God-centered and good people and have got good energy. If they have got like lots and lots of money and a very loyal partner, and you think they don't seem to me to be good people, then you can look at yourself and say to yourself, are they members of a cult? Now, the cults all exist in the astral layer. So you have the physical world, and then layered above it is the astral, the mental, the causal, and they go up and up. Sadly, humanity has built above in the astral layer a carbon copy of this life. Human beings aren't able to cope with death, so what they do, they're so shocked that they have rebuilt this physical world in the astral. So it's all there for you to see. But in the astrals, we don't have our bodies, it's all mental. They have gathered together these cults, and so most of them, if they are very, very rich and you sense that they aren't godly, you can feel a certain amount of dark kind of energy coming off them, and that is because they are part of this cult. These cults in the astral, which, as we know, we have an astral body, is where we go to in our sleep. Some people are conscious there, some people don't retain consciousness, so they just have the energy there, they've got the information, they act on it, and they are helped by the fact they are members of this cult. So they're kind of helped into positions, helped to gain money and to gain power and all these things. So their life, it kind of looks abundant, but it actually is kind of has a stink of kind of fakeness about it, where you sense something dry and dead about it. So it's not actually really abundant. If you look at it, it might have the money, but it's a kind of a sort of dead money feel. It's not joyous, and the love they got is more of a kind of a loyalty like you would have to a cult, rather than a kind of passion and a kind of, you know, really fiery in any way, or God connected. So these people can be quite dangerous to cross, and quite dangerous to have in your life, because they can be quite shark-like, and they can enact the curse for you. So if you have a curse, for instance, I had this curse since birth. I was interacting with John Boyle, interacting in quite a personal way, intimately with John Boyle, and so he then vampired up my money that I had found. So the money that I had found, it didn't flower into abundance, and he crashed that world by bringing his hacking trick and to crash. So I wasn't. It was a dead thing. It was a kind of a dead bud. It was smashed, crushed. And then looking at my books, because I didn't want to do publicity for the books, they made it. You know, they made my first book about, oh, you were searching for your father. You were searching for your father. And actually, I wasn't. So they took something that was important to me, that was heartfelt to me, that I'd written down, and made it about, oh, you were looking for your father, and give it a title that I really didn't think was true, because I was never looking for my father, apart from a little tiny little sniff round. Really, it wasn't the energy behind my life. My energy behind my life was to heal from the abuse. So if they'd have called it maybe an honest title, then you have to look at your publisher and say, is your publisher an abundant organization, or is that part of a cult? Is that something dry and dead, and will that help me be abundant and grow, or is it part of the curse that will enact with me and carry out the curse and allow the curse to breathe through me? So basically, even though I published that book, kind of died a death and kind of killed off any hope of a new book growing from that, because it had made it fake by making it about daddy when it wasn't. And then my next book, I didn't know where to go from that. I had nobody helping me. So then my writing became something that became dry and dead. So that got affected by the curse, because again, the publisher made it into something about serial killers, which is dark. So that means they were dark. So that means they helped that curse in me expand and kill off something that should have been abundant in me. So I hope you can see now, through me sharing about my life, how it might have affected your life and worked in your life, and to look back to see from what age it started. Now, I had that curse in my life from birth, and so it means that I haven't had abundance. I've had a block on abundance, and that has happened to me, but I would have been blissfully unaware. As I said before the break, I was all too readily able to say, well, I'm a retard, or I'm not good with money, and what a spaz I am, and I'm just like that. I'm just a loser. I mean, I was happy calling myself that. I was happy thinking that I was like that. And, we can't all be good at everything. But, you look back and think, well, actually, something about that doesn't ring quite true. It doesn't quite match up. And my position in life doesn't really match up with who I am. And then like me, I moved to a quite well-to-do area. I was renting in a well-to-do area. Don't ever do that. Don't ever go to a well-to-do area and rent, because the witches of that area in the cults, they will make you feel like shit. And I suppose it is okay if you're not going to go anywhere near them and just work there, go home, blah, blah, blah. But if you are going to mix with them, if your kids going to the school in that area, just don't do it. They'll take out a social hit on your kid. They'll enjoy hurting the child. They'll enjoy hurting you, and get out of our area. It's for cult women. It's for the witches. And so that will happen. And that's what I did. And I think, again, it's part of the curse to lead you to these dark people that will enact this kind of thing on you. And I will say that I always fought my curse, because I did manage to get joy from things. I did manage to things like my son being left out of parties. If ever he was left out of a party, I would take him to a toy shop. I would buy him a toy. We would have our own party. We would have a party at home. I would let him watch whatever he wanted on the TV. We would play. We would go somewhere special. I would make the most massive fuss of him. We would have party things. We would say, well, what are they having now? Are they having pizza? Yeah, let's get the best pizza, and we can have 2 bits each. And they just have, little stuff, and probably someone's been sick now, and we would have little games, just him and me. And, it actually made my bond with my son a lot stronger. And so thanks to the witches, sometimes you can turn it around and take that bad cursing and just turn it back on them and make something good out of it. I mean, if you pray, that is when Jesus will come and give you ideas how to usurp their energy, because really these are weak people. It's the dark feminist weak, and it's incredibly weak. Think how weak my grandmother was to curse a child. As a child, it's a female child. It's going out in the world. What's going on there? Cursing it for the rest of its life. You think you're going to have a wonderful life after that? You're not. You think your afterlife's going to be wonderful? It's not. It's going to be pretty much a crunching of bones underfoot, and you are going to be negated, just completely negated. So all these people that do these curses, no matter if they say, I think that person's evil, so I'm going to do this spell on them and that spell. No, come the afterlife, you really, really are going to be in masses of pain. But for the rest of us, meanwhile, it's okay to study magic. It's not okay to curse people. It's okay to study how to defend, like I've been studying. I'm only scratching the surface. I have gone to friends and asked them how to do reversals. They've done reversals for me. I've just provided photographs of the people that have been attacking me. So that has been reversed back to them. What it means is every time anyone curses you, who you know is doing it, they get it back in their lives in some kind of way. So that goes on, but they do say it's a bad thing, because then that'll set up a war. I don't care if it's set up a war. I like to fight too, so they can bring it on. If that person comes to me again and again to fight me, I'll fight back. That is, after all, what we're doing, because we are in a frequency war right in the middle of it. And where else better to fight it out and to meet people you're going to battle with than in the truth movement? Why not? That is where great darkness gathers, because that is where people are waking up, and others do not want them to wake up. They want them to be confused. I don't want you to listen to that person over there, because that might really wake you up. So I want you to listen to me, because I want to put you back asleep, because I'm working for the dark side. Some people don't know they're working for the dark side. It's just part of them in the astral that is with these other people, that is in these cults, that is in these rings, that don't know that they're doing it. They're just, they have a front that's quite affable and kind, and you think, oh, that's just a sweet person. Well, actually, no, it's not a sweet person. It's someone that's doing a great deal of bad things. And you can see the bad things laid out behind them. You don't have to point them out. You don't have to say anything about that person. Everyone can see the trail of bodies behind them. So I hope everyone will wake up. And meanwhile, if you are feeling this kind of thing, if you do your timeline and realize that you haven't had abundance in your life, you haven't had love. I mean, look around. I never understood when I read different books and see this person, or my husband, or my wife, and I think, how come I haven't had? I was going to say a wife. How come I haven't had a husband? I was going to say or a wife. How come I haven't had a husband when everybody else has? And they kind of take it for granted. Love and falling in love, but I've never had that. Of course, I wouldn't have that, because to marry someone would make me stronger. I would have had a house provided for me, or at least would have bought somewhere ages ago with a man, and we'd have built together, and it would have made me strong. So this is what my grandmother didn't want when she set the curse on me. She wanted me to be weak. What's the first thing to be weak? To put you on your own. And when you're on your own, you are weak, 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 weak. So I've been weak. I've never fallen in love. When I would meet a man I think they were suitable, I would sabotage the relationship. I would have a bee in my bonnet that they had loved their ex-girlfriend more than me, and I would bang on about their ex-girlfriend, how wonderful they were, and literally crush my relationship. It's a very good way of crushing a relationship, to find out who their last love was and really hammer it home that they still like them, really hammer it home, a massive obsession with their ex. I just bring it up every minute. It really ruins a relationship. And I ruined all my relationships that way, and I couldn't find a way of not feeling that way. Literally, I would meet someone I liked and would find myself questioning them about who they went out with, and I'd be like, oh, was that like love of your life kind of thing? And they would say, no, it was Louise, the one before that. Louise, yeah, she really hurt me. And then I would obsess, and I would go away and I would find out about them, find out their second name, research them, find out what they look like, and I would bring it up all the time, and I would obsess about it, and it would make me quite ill, and it would make them quite ill, and the relationship would go really, really bad, really, really quickly, and there would be no nice moments, there would be no lovemaking, and that's a curse. That is a curse, and I can see it clearly now. I had therapy. I tried to have therapy. You see, therapy didn't really work. Therapy won't lift a curse. Therapy won't acknowledge a curse. Therapy will just say, I wonder what that is. Maybe it's about your mother, and maybe it's about, your father, and maybe your relationship with him, and maybe you want to kick your mother out of the way. So these other women represent your mother. But no, it's not. It's just something put in place that will chain you down and will make sure your life isn't abundant and isn't free. And actually, I saw it when I traveled astrally, and I saw what this woman had done to me. It was literally like seeing, what do they call it? Chains, and the not chains, but those cloths on chains. They were literally round my legs at various points, and it's almost like some of my legs had been splintered. Now, I have always parked in disabled spots in supermarkets. I've always thought, I'm justified parking in there. And someone commented on it, and they said, you feel disabled, don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. And I always thought it was because of psychological damage from my child sexual abuse from my adoptive family, but it's not. It's this particular curse, because when I journeyed and saw it astrally, and I can do this for other people, so anybody needs it, do contact me on Facebook. I saw my legs had been smashed, and they were actually in splinters, and these bindings had gone round. Now, when these witches send out these curses, they can do the spells and actually make smashing noises, splashing gestures with their hands, and I bind you, and actually figuratively smash the legs in the astral, which is part of our bodies, and just smash it. So they actually destroy you and then chain it. So your actual higher self is being attacked, being in chains, being surrounded by walls. And they can do all this. This is what magic can do. And yes, it's been taught to human beings by fallen angels, but it's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And the white race originally had a way of protecting against this, and they were well aware of it. But the Romans and the Christians came, and the Catholic Church of Satan came and absolutely crunched this out, this natural knowledge that we had, said it was evil, and the paedophile priests, even though they can change the bit of wafer into the flesh of Christ, or they can say they can do magic. They can't though, because they're about as spiritual as a boiled egg. But the paedophile priests say, oh no, it's only for us to do that. We can walk around dressed like women in long flowing smocks. We do that, not you. It's evil. It's evil when you do it, but not when we do it. We have the power. You don't have the power. I can forgive your sins and you can't. So these paedophile priests from the Roman Catholic Church of Satan have lied to us. And, you know, so I had that in my head that I couldn't heal myself. I couldn't go and look. I couldn't go and journey. Oh, that was really bad. But we have to protect ourselves. So I saw this had been done, and literally it crushes you. So in my magic self, in my special magic self that I had to give to a man, I believed fundamentally that I was smashed and splintered. I believed that I was inferior. I believed that I wasn't as much of a woman as Louise or whatever. Gosh, I can't even remember the names of my boyfriend's exes, the ones that I became obsessed with. I even became obsessed with a man that I went out with who could have had a really good relationship, who felt magic towards, his wife had died. I would say he was the only man that I've ever had a sexual relationship with, and you know, it was a real relationship, and I did feel love for him, but his wife is dead, and I became obsessed with her, this, that, and the other, and she was dead, but still I banged on about her. It just killed the relationship dead, and somebody else swooped in and picked him up, and I believe they're still together. So I haven't dated anyone since then, and that was 13 years ago. So that's great. So that is as much damage, people, as these witches can do. It's not lightweight, is it? It's not like, ooh, someone's put a curse on you, you're going to get a black spot on your face. This is fundamentally absolute rape we're talking about. This is rape. This is rape of our whole entire lives. Actually, my whole love interaction was spoiled by this vile woman who told herself that I was something bad and needed to be washed out, that needed to be cursed, that needed to be smashed down, so I would never rise up, so I would never be a whole woman. And actually, bizarrely, in my own little way, I did rise up, and I did come to write a book, and I did come to write up about Mary Barbara Sweeney and her absolute witch whore mother who lived in Acton. So I actually have been able to rise up and speak about that abhorrent family and their abhorrent bloodline that is presumably a dark bloodline. Anyone that hurts children is dark, is satanic. Okay, children are innocent. Anyone that hurts them, you're satanic. Okay, you're not going anywhere near God. You're satanic. Own it. So I want to help anybody that has hasn't had abundance in their lives, that had this block put down. I want to help them. So please do contact me on Facebook, my Facebook, Chris J Hart, and speak to me in Messenger, and I will try to help you in what ways I can. The most help I can give is through journeying, to try and look down your timeline, to try and look how it's manifested in your life, to try and see when the curse has... 1 second, please. To see when about the curse has taken place. You know, when did you have an abundant life, and did a certain point where things started to go wrong, to start becoming, you know, spiraling out of control to becoming bad. It's not karma. It really, really isn't karma. I used to think, oh, it's karma. I watch the news, the world, I'm getting slapped back. No, I had struggled under a curse all of my life, a dark, dark curse, and I'd struggled under it. And then I had been cursed again at a certain point. Now I'm looking at this particular point where things started to get bad. And it was around the point where I met Mr. Kenneth Bianchi. Now, Kenneth Bianchi is drenched in demons, and I wrote a book about Bianchi, and it wasn't a great book. It wasn't a good book, actually, not at all. And he liked to think he was innocent. He liked to think he was getting out. And he put a curse on me, and that has been with me. It has been like walking through sludge after that happened and the book came out. It was literally like walking through sludge. Every day became difficult. Things didn't flow. There was no synchronicity in my life. I wasn't connected up to God. I found my connection with God broken. This is how badly that these people who have this power, these witches, Bianchi's like a woman, so he's got the dark feminine, really a tight hold of the dark feminine, which it is, the witch energy. So it can be wielded by men, as long as they are effeminate men. They can wield it. Bianchi is. And so he wielded this. You know, it's difficult to... I have actually asked for help. I've given pictures of, you know, these people, and you can reverse it back. Even on someone like Bianchi, you can reverse that back on them. It does lift it. It can lift it by doing these reversals. And also then you have to look at your own life. Unbelievably, there are really light, silly ways of lifting things like this, such as using herbs and doing rebirthing your energy by taking a hot bath, not like really, really scalding, and putting in basil, just buy some at the supermarket, and mint, and putting it in your bath, and adding some Epsom salt, sprinkling that over, blessing the water, and just getting in there and just putting your head under. You leave your face out there, and just really making your whole body as if it's gone back into the womb, and then when you lift up out the water, as if you're birthing yourself, and it's birthing yourself free of curse, free of dark energy which might have bound you down. So these are cleansing herbs. Also a really good herb, I find it hard to get out of this herb, really good herb called rue. That's R-U-E. And rue is an amazing herb. You just brew it as the tea, you get the tea, and you get in your bath, the same bath, and you let it cool, obviously, and then you strain off the herb. So you've got the tea and strong, and you pour it over your head. Just pour it over your head, and it's just, it is an unbelievable feeling. It is a really cleansing feeling, and it cuts off all these ties that these people have tied to you. These, I want to think of a new word for these animals, just literally animals. No, actually, animals are beautiful. It can't be an animal, just cockroaches. These cockroaches that crawl through humanity unseen. It's unseen, you know, we don't know about them. We don't know if you're feeling really, really bad. It's some creep. It might even be someone who served you in a shop that really doesn't like you. They give you the evil eye. Next thing, for the next week or so, you're feeling really, really sad because they've done that to you. You have to shield yourself from them. You have to use these baths that are absolutely excellent. You can burn a white candle when you're in the bath, and just look into the flame and ask Jesus to come and clean you and protect you from any kind of badness. Now, it's not it's nothing bad to use these herbs. They're just cleaning herbs. They just clean these dark, dirty energies. So it's not like, oh, it's really bad to use. no snort flea patchy. It's just natural. We've been given these things. They're there. God has made them for us. They grow. And just put them in your damn bath. It's not really jiggery pokery. It's just sorry, my throat is really closed up. It's just a way of cleaning your energy, cleaning. So you can have a happy life. So you can have a life connected to God, not a life that some cockroach has decided they will slack down. Some people can even see you and your light will be shining bright and they will just decide to put a lampshade over you. So that is how bad it is out in life and how easy it can happen. So there's that. There's also burning candles. You can get a black candle, you turn it around the opposite way and you write the name of the person who you suspect has cursed you backwards on the candle. And if you don't know who it is, you can just write "my enemy" backwards on the candle, and then rub some frankincense and myrrh mixed together, essential oils, on the candle, and then burn the candle down to the stop. That is another way of just discarding that energy, making sure that you are clean, and also shielding. I mean, when you go to bed at night, your bed is a really, really sacred place, and it's a little doorway that these energies can get in. So if you've had a binding spell put on you, that might make you lacking in energy. People call it all these things like ME and all these things that they got. Okay, so some people have got the physical stuff, but also you might just be under a curse, and it can be lifted, and you have these symptoms, and actually it's not that illness, it's something else. So you can start by, a binding spell is what it is. It binds the person. It just binds them. They can't do anything. So their energy isn't abundant. It's not flowing. So firstly, your bed. If you claim sovereignty over your bed just before you go to sleep, hold your hands out above it and say, "This is my space. Let Jesus Christ protect my space." And if you want to do a circle of salt, rock salt, any really good salt, round your bed, a protective circle. And then if you want to get a spray bottle, put some spring water into it. You can pray over the water and then put it into the bottle, and then perhaps if you like, put some salt there. Salt is really cleansing to dark energy. And then spray it all over your bed. Spray it over the head of the bed, thinking perhaps of the person who's cursed you out. I often do. I see this woman's face come up just whenever I spray my bed. It comes up, and I say, get behind me, Satan, and then keep spraying, and just will lift that energy away. And then mostly it's good if you sleep with a big selenite rock. So if you get yourself, it's only about a £5 for you go to in London, Covent Garden, there's this astrological shop in Covent Garden, which is really good, and you can get a big rock hunk of selenite. If you sleep with selenite under your pillow, it's really good because it sends out vibrations. It stops this energy coming for you when you're in a weakened position, for sort of closing around you like a clamshell. And so that can be excellent. I sleep with that, and I sleep with some sticks of selenite, and I have a big ball of black obsidian, rainbow obsidian. That is good. And I have some rose quartz. That is good and calming. So I have all these rocks surrounding me, and I can sleep in the middle of them. And this really, really does help. And then if you shield yourself up, which is just kind of cover yourself in a warm light, and you can layer it up with different shades, like a blue shade, a bright white shade, and just put it all around you. And say, "Jesus, protect me. I'm going to sleep now. Protect me." And you can kind of unlock the day. You can lock the day, and then in the morning you can say, "Jesus, keep the dark energies around me. I'm going to wake up now," and unlock the day. So you lock the day at night, and then you unlock the day in the morning. And this will protect you when you are walking, when your physical body is really, really vulnerable. Nobody tells us that it's vulnerable to these things, and we just have to live our lives and not realizing it and thinking, it's bad luck, and bad luck, I've been hit by bad luck, and then eventually, for some curses, it might wear off. I mean, they can wear off after years, or the person doesn't top them up. There's no top up a curse. If they don't kind of top them up, then you can free yourself of it, and all of a sudden, oh, I've got good luck now. It's really nothing. We as human beings, there isn't much karma going on. Okay, we as human beings should be living really, really happy lives. Instead of that, most of us are actually suffering. We're really, really unhappy. And why are we unhappy? Because there's masses of dark energy that over lifetimes and lifetimes is just weighing heavily on us. And we really do have to grab the bull by the horns and really say, I'm not going to put up with it. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to really, really fight this. I really want a good life. I deserve that mansion over there. I deserve to meet someone I'm really, really crazy about. I deserve to not screw up that relationship. I deserve to have the confidence in that relationship, to make it give me joy, to give the other person joy, to give others around us joy. I deserve all that. I deserve a lot of money to buy things that I like and to give things and help out other people around me. I want to be in touch with nature. I want to be happy here. I want to have a connection with God. I want to feel joyful in the morning. I want my body to be healthy. All those things. Health as well can be a result of curses, and also can be prayed against, and they can be reverse spells made to lift them, because it's energy. We are energy at the end of the day. We're all energy. We're not really made up with anything else. We are, as the film says it, the ghost in the machine. That was a film I watched actually the other day, and it was really, really, really interesting, because it reminds us that actually it was a Scarlett Johansson, the movie, and she was a cyborg, and it was just her brain in the cyborg, and she found her way back to who she used to be. And it is quite metaphorical for our lives, because here we are in this ridiculous fleshy body. It's not really ours. It's come out of the 3D kind of fleshy stuff that's here, and is it anything really to do with us? Not really. So in a way, it's like her stuck in a cyborg body, and we've got our minds, our ghost in the machine that has lived previous lives and doesn't remember. And in the movie, Scarlett Johansson didn't remember this other man who was the government were after this man, and this man was trying to connect up to God and trying to get others to connect and try and but they said he was bad, but he was the actual one who was trying to get others with him to connect up and to become their own sort of good hive mind. And she didn't want to leave Earth. She said she still wanted to stay, but she remembered that they eventually, near the end of the film, she realizes that they loved each other once before her memory was wiped. And basically, our memories are wiped. We're reincarnated here again and again and again, and our memories are wiped, and we don't remember our past lives or remember who we loved or remember anything. And if we did remember it, we would have masses and masses of power. So we actually are born, and we're born with these curses that can go back even to previous lives, these ties on us, these demands on us, surrounded by, vampiric people, and, it's layer upon layer upon layer of darkness that we have to fight in this world that has become really, really dark and has become really Satan's kingdom. And Satan actually is the matrix, that is the net over us, that is the actual satanic. It's like a giant spider sitting over us that's with this big web, and some of us are choking on the web. So if we realize this and realize the web is energy and we are energy, we just need to reclaim the energy, and we reclaim it by claiming magic ourselves, by claiming becoming alchemists ourselves, by realizing we have the power to see what was done to us, to reverse it, to give it back to sender, and to free ourselves of it on every layer of existence that we don't remember that we've got contact with, that we don't remember. We are awakened. Some of us don't remember anything at all. Others are conscious. And, we have these other lives. We have this ability. We are multidimensional. We are awake. When we go to sleep, some of us have a continued consciousness. It is normal for certain people to have a continuous consciousness. Certain people do have it. I have it sometimes, not all the time. I did have it for a week when someone was attacking me. Actually, I didn't like it because I kind of expected myself to be tired, and I found it weird that I was just getting on with my normal life and not tired, because my brain had never experienced blackout. So I was just having the astral attacking by this certain person, and then waking up in the morning not feeling very great because it was horrible, and then go to sleep hoping for blackout, but not getting that person attacking me and pulling me to a place where I was very, very awake and aware. And so it was continued consciousness, and it wasn't nice. I didn't like it. I am used to having a blackout. I do like a blackout, or I like to have a certain amount of recall and then a certain amount of not recall. And I like my recall to be a tiny bit hazy. Sometimes it's not, it's really clear. And I do like that. I do like it clear as well. Especially as, I'm in middle age, and soon I will be in the astral layers fully, and my physical will be under the earth. So I want to get used to that level. And yeah, that level is more interesting, more. I do speak to people. I spoke to Hugh Burnett, who was my best friend, the film director Hugh Burnett. He died in 2011, and he said how much better, how much more life you have there, how much better. And once you get used to it, how amazing it is, and how you can see everything, and how there are places you go where you can literally plug yourself into God, and what an amazing feeling it is. So it's exciting. We're really actually, we live our lives in 3D, in little boxes. We live with our noses pressed firmly to the ground, because that's what Satan wants, that's what the Matrix wants, that's what that giant spider and all the curses and the witches and the hags want you to have your face to the ground. They don't want any flowers blooming here. They don't want abundance and joy. Satan's kingdom, after all. So misery, fear, materialism, power, the wrong kind of power, sexual abuse, this one and that one, bad messages that go out, glorifying violence. That has to reign supreme. So if you're really, floating your boat in a really sort of joyous way, you're probably going to come up against it. That's why you see people, for John Boyle, for instance, he's really, really rich, who they're just part of the cults. They're part of Satan's kingdom. So they have all these things. They don't have their abundance. And this is, abundance being the peak experience where, like Proust in the shop eating his Madeleine and biting into it, and all of a sudden feeling aware of everything, being part of the clouds, being part of the sky, your whole mind soaring with the sky and romping with the mind of God. That is the way that we should live. That is the way that we should be alive. We're part of God. We're built in his image, but we have these fleshy bodies and these brains, these horrible helmet-like things that absolutely are our enemy. They tell us shit about ourselves. They're filled with curses from other people, and they're our enemy. So that's why meditation is good, because when you meditate, you come out of that. You actually focus on the body. You actually go into the body. You really feel it, and by feeling it, you escape it. And then when you come out of meditation, hopefully you do it for half an hour each day. Then when you come out of meditation, you feel more in contact with reality. Why? Because you haven't got the insanity of your satanic brain and the satanic body telling you this, that, and the other, because it is part of Satan's kingdom, this fleshy stuff. It's not. We are the ghost in the machine. It's just as ugly as Scarlett Johansson's Cyborg. It's just as ugly. It's not a good thing. this fleshy thing we're stuck in, this fleshy mind. It's part of Satan's kingdom. It's it's in this world. Love not the world, nor the things that are in this world. For the love of the Father is not in you. So if you do have this, worship of the body and the mind, I feel sorry for great intellectuals. It must be hard for them to come out of that because their mind has functioned so well for them. It's brought them this, that, and the other. But then they are too part of the cults of the intellect. So think yourself lucky that you don't have a mind that's anything special, that you don't have a body that's anything special, that you can deny it and you can meditate and come out of it and realize that you are the ghost in the machine. And try and watch that film with Scarlett Johansson. It was really good. She did get recall and she reunited with her mother and she realized she loved the guy. So we are all in that position, sadly, where we don't have recall of people that we did once profoundly love. And some of us live through this life without love, and it's cold, it's hard, and we do have that dark clouds, this dark energy floating around, and we do have to be really, really brave and really, really, we don't have to sit there. We don't have to sit and shit like a baby sitting in a nappy. We can change the nappy, take the nappy off, wipe the shit away with a wipey and sprinkle talcum, put a fresh nappy on. We don't have to sit and shit. So, get these baths going, get some Epsom salts. You can get it at Waitrose. I've seen it in there, £6, huge bag of Epsom salt. Okay, it's not really huge, it's kind of middle size, but it lasts long enough. And, put it in your bath. These are really, really cleansing. So you will wake up feeling really fresh in the morning because it does really, really help. It kind of cuts away those negative curses and ties. And try and put some basil and some mint in your bath. Try and get hold of some rue. It's a really cleansing thing. Try and get hold of some candles. Look at the white candle as you're bathing. And try and get magic in your life and try and connect with magic. Try and walk out barefoot. Try and stand on the ground. Try and imagine the energy from the center of the earth coming up through your feet, up all through your body, connecting just a few feet above your head to crown chakra, cleaning out your throat chakra, your third eye, getting all the sludge. Imagine sludge and dirt coming out of all these places. Imagine them spinning nicely and your body fully working. It should be fully working. I don't advocate worshipping it, but it should be healthy. It should be in really, really good health. Try and swallow down some of those superfoods to make your body alkaline. If you take wheatgrass or barley grass, it will make it more alkaline. Again, this gets rid of these curses and ties, because if the body is acidic, it carries this dark energy a lot more readily. So if you just take a shot of this wheatgrass per day, it's revolting stuff, but you just put it in a shot glass and down it, then it will also help, really, really help. But it doesn't mean you have to worship your body. But if you can run around and get the blood pumping, this again, it kind of frees it. So it's kind of odd. The more you make the body healthy and the more you exercise it, the less of a prison it is, the less, sort of weighs you down kind of thing. The more your mind will have these peak experiences, and the more your mind can get out of it. Because we are really stuck in this prison. But if we can free our consciousness a little bit, we can kind of use our bodies for joy, for making love, for enjoying abundance, for enjoying flowers blossoming in our lives, for fruit, to bear fruit in our lives, for our lives not to be closed in these cardboard boxes, to be cursed lives, to be heavy-shouldered under oppression and these, it's like, what's the name of that fairy tale where the girl is under the dark spell? Fairy tales like that are true, actually, and it kind of makes a mockery of it, because the dark spell really is an awful, awful thing. And there are millions of us out there who are going through our lives and our lives aren't happy, and it's because of this. And if only we could turn it around and free ourselves from it and cut those ties, then we would have this abundant life. We wouldn't have this block put on it. We could live this block. And I want that for everybody who's been fiddled with and attacked and raped by this kind of piece of shit that knows this kind of dark magic. They really should be washed away. They really are going to be washed away in the future, because it really is the nastiest, most slimy evil. And it's slimy evil because it's not seen, you know? And somebody can wear a nice little false front and say, who, me? Who, me? No, I wouldn't do something like that. And behind it, they can be just, really getting stuck in, telling themselves, you're bad, I'm going to get you. And really, it's attacking. It's incredibly violent. So you might have had something really, really violent and really, really dark put upon you, and yet you have absolutely no awareness of it, absolutely no idea, and your whole life has been dark, and your whole life you say, I'm just unlucky, So get these things going, and the show's coming to an end now. I apologize for not having a guest. I've talked away. I know it's boring for some. My apologies for that. I will have guests next week. And sorry I was late coming, such is the traffic in London. So if you want to contact me, my YouTube, I believe there's a message thing on YouTube. Christine Joanna Hart at Revolution Radio is my YouTube. Please subscribe there. I haven't got many subscribers, so please feel pity and click so I can at least feel it's worth carrying on. And also my Facebook is Chris Jo Hart, Hart. I'm there. Please do send me a private message, and if you need help, I will try and help you as much as I can, free of charge, because it's not something I do work-wise. Hopefully I will get blessings from that and find work. I had a meeting with someone today, and the meeting I had with them today, they mentioned work, and the meeting wasn't about work, and I didn't really get excited about it. I didn't really say, oh yes please, because I thought maybe that'd be desperate. I said, oh, and I came away thinking, God, I really I really need work, and I haven't had work for a long time, and it's made me feel not really like a human being. It's made me live in fear, because I need to provide for my family, and because I'm alone, and it's a hellish thing. It's an awful thing. You don't feel connected up to anything, and it's disorientating, and it's horrible, really horrible. It's the worst thing. We all need to work. Working is good, and we can find our reason for being here, our purpose, and it's an amazing thing to work and then to, buy yourself something. I mean, I always felt if I got money for free, or it was given to me by somebody, that you can't enjoy spending it because you haven't earned it. There's nothing sweeter than buying a fruit that you have earned the money for, because it just feels amazing. It really does. It's really worth it. And working honestly, doing honest to goodness toil, and it's part of life. You can't enjoy playing if you're not working. So the two things come together to make it a good life. But as I said, if you are under a curse, then you probably haven't been able to find a job that you fit in, that gives you joy, that gives you abundance, that will bear fruit. And we all deserve a job and a career that will bear fruit, that is our thing, that makes us spring out of bed in the morning and makes us happy to be alive. So we're coming to the end of the show. I've just got 7 minutes left. I've enjoyed speaking with you. The sky has got darker as I've been speaking. The sun has now slipped down, and the sky is tangerine coloured and grey. So I now will be going to watch Celebrity Big Brother because I like that kind of crap. So thank you for joining me, and please listen to my show next week. So hopefully I'm still on air It was really weird last week. My guests swore, and the show's owner had to terminate the show. So I was chundering away, and actually I was waiting for the music to come in. It didn't come in, and I realised I was talking to myself for half an hour. So never mind. I haven't hung my show last week, so or this one, so I don't know what is going to go on. I heard from James Casbolt yesterday. Anybody is interested, and he told me his release date. So anybody who's looking forward to hearing from Mr. Casbolt, he will be back on air, presumably, where he's having his own show, whatever's happening, July 23rd of July 2019. So that is quite a long time away, isn't it? It is. Gosh, it is. How long is it? Wow, now I feel like a dumb blonde. So we're in August, kind of just past July. So it's 2 years. Right. See, some of us are lucky we're not in prison, which must be absolutely. I can hear music coming in. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a really fantastic evening, and God bless.
Listening to Revolution Radio.
Most guys freeze. That's your cerebral cortex looking for an answer it doesn't have.
See? Even your brain knows you're screwed.
The body's filling with adrenaline right now, whether you know it or not. Your heart's beating fast. It's getting a little harder to breathe. The neurobiological system is telling it to run, but your knees are too weak to move.
Fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. That is near insanity. Do not misunderstand me. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all telling ourselves a story.
You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. 100% listener-supported radio. Reporting the danger. Unafraid. Right here, where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. See how the trouble you've started?
Join us here on Revolution Radio, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern on Studio B, for a politician, patriot, social savant, businessman, former investment banker, and Veterans Today columnist, Mike Harris. Listen to Mike as he exposes the corruption, sedition, and terrorism within our own government. He knows our system is flawed and that obstruction of justice is all too commonplace. His show, Short End of the Stick, pokes at this corruption with eloquent style. That's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Studio B, for the Short End of the Stick, with the man who should have been elected governor of Arizona, Mike Harris.
That's right here on Revolution Radio.
Enjoy your extra big-ass fries.
You didn't give me no fries. I got an empty box.
Would you like another?
Extra big-ass fries!
I said I didn't get any.
Thank you. Your account has been charged. Your balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to make a purchase.
No.
I'm sorry you're having
Come
trouble.
on. My kids are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence through self-reliance. This station is 100% listener-supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the shit hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons